between fact and fantasy, wish and will, between what man knows and what man fears, is a wondrous place defined only by imagination, an ever-changing dreamscape, the Twilight Zone.
Talking big. That's okay when you're on the street.
Treat it for life.
Coming up next on News Service 18, the control of the Philippines slips further into the fall.
The Ryan White case goes to court again tomorrow.
The small trash haulers in Tippecanoe County worry about how far they'll have to go to empty their trucks.
Those stories and others are next on News Service 18. Join us.
The 86 Tax Sale Plus continues at your Indiana Nissan dealer, and it just keeps getting better and better. We've just taken delivery of the all-new, exciting 1986 and a half line of Nissan trucks, hard bodies, sleek aerodynamic styling, longer wheelbase, and the biggest engine available in any compact truck. Get special introductory savings on all the 86 and a half Nissan hard bodies, now during the 86 Tax Sale Plus.
See your Indiana Nissan dealer. We're dealing today.
Domino's Pizza delivers, people come to their senses. A scent teaser, a campus pleaser.
You're watching WLFI, Lafayette's own TV station.
News Service 18, the late edition, with David Walker, Barry McDermott, Kathy Von Pine, and Larry Clisby, Mid-North Indiana's only local television newscast.
Good evening to you. The Philippines now have two people claiming to be president.
President Ferdinand Marcos is also due to hold an inaugural ceremony shortly. He's refusing to step down despite calls from the U.S. and an uprising by some of his top military officials. Purdue University professor James Stiganga says he believes Marcos' days as president are numbered, and military rebels have proclaimed Corazon Aquino as head of a provisional Philippine government.
I think he's going to leave soon, yes, and I expect that he'll come to the United States to live out his days. That's part of the deal that might be worked out with the opposition forces in the Philippines, and that may be what the president's emissary there is working at now.
Scattered fighting is being reported in Manila as rebel leaders try to gain control against Marcos loyalists.
Attempt to return to school is delayed, but the issue goes back to court tomorrow after Howard Circuit Judge Alan Brubaker issued a temporary restraining order keeping Ryan out of school on Friday. Attorney Charles Vaughn is asking that a bond be set to cover any damages to Ryan because of that order. Vaughn says the parents opposed to Ryan will have to put up that bond, an expensive proposition.
He'll listen to the evidence. He's got to pay what our hourly rates are and that type thing. And these are expensive matters, each one of these things being taken up. The only thing about it's been so far, it's only been expensive against Ryan. The other attorneys were always getting paid for all this. And, you know, it's thousands, we say it's between $50,000 and $100,000 they've spent to keep this boy out of school. The school board did, or the Western School Corporation. Now it's the parents' turn to pay us in the event they're wrong.
At the hearing tomorrow, the judge is also expected to set a second hearing date on the restraining order. Vaughn says it could take place later this week.
A group of small trash hauling firms is worried about being shut out of the Tippecanoe County landfill. Chris Marissi has the story.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Trash haulers from several small Tippecanoe County companies met with County Commissioner Bruce Osborne to discuss their fears of the landfill shutting down. On top of the state efforts to close the facility, landfill operator Jerry Schlossberg and his attorney have indicated they may close the facility to the small haulers and only honor contracts with the two cities and Purdue.
We're just trying to find out what our alternatives are, which we don't have any. You know, if the landfill closes, we'll have no place to take our trash. Logansport won't take it. Delphi won't take it. Nobody wants it.
Osborne didn't have any answers for the group, but he did suggest if the landfill is closed to them, they go to other landfills or go to court for an injunction. He says the county just can't do much.
Until, somebody can control enough tonnage to entice a vendor to come in here on an interim period for a transfer, we're just at a standstill.
On another front, landfill attorney Lou Perlman is questioning the commissioner's refusal to consider a rate hike request because the application does not include a state-approved operating permit number.
The application is filled out identical to what was filled out 2-3 years ago, and they acted on it. Now, how can they today say the application isn't correct?
But County Attorney Larry O'Connell says the commissioners allowed the increase in 1983 with the understanding the landfill would obtain an operating permit.
As of that time, they have not submitted anything to the county to show that that permit was ever granted.
For all the words being traded now, the landfill situation really hasn't changed, and it's likely the disputes will continue to heat up and die down as they have in the past. Chris Morrissey, News Service 18.
A Carroll County man died today after suffocating in a grain bin. 26-year-old Edward Duff was removing moldy corn from the side of a grain bin when the tragedy occurred. Deputy Dennis Randall of the Carroll County Sheriff's Department says Duff was working at Richard McCain's farm at 500 West near County Road 300 South. Edward Duff was working on top of the grain bin alongside his cousin, Eric Duff.
Eric and Ed Duff were up on top. Mr. McCain was down at the bottom running the auger, and Eric went down to assist Mr. McCain on something, and when he returned, they couldn't find Edward.
The Sheriff's Department and Delphi firefighters removed Duff from the 7,000-bushel bin. EMTs attempted to revive him. He was pronounced dead on arrival at a home hospital. Edward Duff is the son of Carroll County Commissioner William Duff.
And ahead on the news, the legislature may reach a compromise on license branch reform.
And local agencies make their pitches for federal money. There's more news ahead.
The young lady for the tonsillectomy.
First time I was here, I was 10, and they took my tonsils out. Now I manage this hospital, and for communications, I rely on GTE. When we added this wing, our GTE account manager even helped us tie into nationwide medical data networks. And GTE service is untapped 24 hours a day.
She's going to be fine.
Any messages?
Sure, on your terminal.
It takes a lot to satisfy us, but GTE does.
Can you serve tacos at home that taste like they came from a fine Mexican restaurant? Can you get crispy taco shells made from fresh corn instead of processed corn flour? And the chunky taco salsa with the flavor of sun-ripened tomatoes, fresh onions, and fire-roasted chilies? Yes, for the taste of authentic Mexican food, see Ortega.
See Ortega! See Ortega! See Ortega!
During our $1 million inventory tax reduction sale, you push, pull, or drag your old lump of an automobile into Twin City Dodge Chrysler Plymouth. Buy any 1985 or 1986 full-size pickup truck, and we'll guarantee you a $1,500 minimum trade-in allowance for it. Buy any D100 or D150 pickup truck in stock and get 7.9% financing for 48 months, or 9.4% financing for 60 months. But you best hurry to Twin City Dodge Chrysler Plymouth during our $1 million inventory tax reduction sale. Hurry in today!
Portions of News Service 18 are sponsored by Mr. Steve's Rentals and by Lafayette Bank and Trust.
Not since the Great Depression have the nation's farmers felt the pain of a souring ag economy any more than now. In Indiana, 1/3 of our farmers are in trouble. We will lose many of them in the next year. Tonight, Ellen Lieberman and I begin a 5-part look of what is truly the farm crisis. '85 was Vern Hartebeck's last harvest.
It was just a battle. You just felt like you were losing ground, and we were.
For 13 years, his battlefield, a 440-acre livestock and grain farm in Fowler. There, Vern scratched out a living for his wife and children, but it wasn't the life he wanted for his family.
The stress was definitely there. I was under pressure constantly. In turn, I would put my children, when they were working out, doing whatever, under pressure. And my wife, and I didn't want that.
Like many farmers, Vern couldn't keep up with rising production costs and the falling value of his goods. In 1981, Indiana farmers had amassed $42.6 billion in assets and almost $7 million in debts. Just 4 years later, farmers watched their assets dwindle, their debts mount.
The pressure has left a tragic wake of suicides and violence nationally. Indiana recorded its first violent incident Saturday night, February 22nd, when 37-year-old Remington farmer David Berenda kept police at bay for 4 hours. Shots were fired, no one was hurt. Police say he was despondent over a farm foreclosure. Vern Hardebeck and many other recent farm casualties are partly victims of the economic conditions of 15 years ago. In the 1970s, skyrocketing inflation more than doubled the prices of commodities and the value of land. It appeared the sky was the limit. Many lenders encouraged farmers to borrow, and borrow big. They assumed inflation would continue to climb. It looked like there was no way to lose.
Charlie, how's your tractor? Well, it's 2 years old. Well, why don't you buy a new one? We can lend you the money. And this did happen. Sure did.
But in 1981, the government began to curb inflation.
So the farmers got caught. We'd been tearing down the highway at 90 miles an hour, and suddenly we slammed on the brakes and threw the farmers against the windshield.
Land values in Indiana dropped 41% in 4 years.
Vern's last harvest was sad, but not bitter. After selling out, he had no more debts, and he's still a part of agriculture, working full-time for Demeter Company.
Off-farm income, that is, income generated from other sources, has helped stabilize those who live on farms in Indiana.
We had many holes in that dike that we had to plug, and we did it for many years. The dike didn't give way, but it was awful close.
Farmer Vern Hardebeck got out before the dike broke.
I'm Ellen Lieberman.
I'm David Walker, News Service 18.
Are you worried about your car's ability to get you to work on time this winter? Or about the cost of repairing it? Why not buy the reliable used car or the new car you need with the help of a loan from Bank and Trust? Visit any of our neighborhood locations and find out how our simple interest controller loan can help you limit interest payments.
Let us earn your trust at Bank and Trust. Lafayette Bank and Trust. Lafayette Bank and Trust.
If you're looking for a better TV picture, look right here and to Mr. Steve's Rentals. A new brand name 25-inch color console TV can be yours right now from Mr. Steve's for only $10.95 per week. Or if you prefer your set with a remote control, pay only $12.95 per week. Our February special for you. And remember, at Mr. Steve's, there's no credit check, no deposit, no down payment. You get free service, and you can always rent to own everything for the home at Mr. Steve's Rentals of Indiana.
Tuesday at 5:30 on MASH.
Why does my company clerk's office look like Polly Adler's parlor?
Sir, these are treasures of my civilian world.
I've got everything here but a statue with a clock in its stomach.
1, 2, 3.
Don't miss MASH Tuesday at 5:30 on TV 18.
The question of how to divide up the federal community development pie was the subject of a Lafayette City Hall hearing tonight. City officials listened as about a dozen people representing various social service agencies asked for a piece of the $533,000 in community development funds for the next fiscal year. As with all federal money, the block grant funds directed toward low and moderate income citizens are dwindling.
The groups are represented here tonight by executive directors and people that work in various groups that serve a great need in our community. I wish we could fund them 100% of what they want. But, we were having our community development program cut around 32%, which represents around $200,000 less this year than we had last year, which is a little over $500,000 we'll have this year.
The money requested tonight nearly exceeds what is available to social programs through the block grant program.
Work has begun at the State House to come up with compromise legislation for license branch reform. But after a short meeting this morning, the 4-member committee working on the measure decided to reserve most decisions for tomorrow. Jeff Smith reports.
The conference committee was called because the House and the Senate passed very different versions of license branch reform legislation. But how reform should be accomplished and how quickly it should be accomplished has become something of a problem. Democratic Senator William McCarty listed 7 issues he'd like to see addressed by the committee, including an effective date. McCarty would like to see reform become effective by July 1st of 1987. But Republican Senator Larry Borst says it's still too early to talk about effective dates when so much compromise is still needed.
Whatever needs to be compromised, I assume that there will have to be some, whether it's what Senator McCarty's talked about or other ideas. That our final product has got to be something that'll work. It's got to be something that we can walk out of here and say, well, this is for the benefit of the public.
The bill would have to get the support of 51 representatives to pass. According to committee chairman Richard Dellinger, it doesn't have that majority yet, so Borst wants to find out just what it would take to get the measure passed in the House and then start compromising from there. At the State House in Indianapolis, Jeff Smith, News Service 18.
Well, Kath, we didn't get as much snow as we thought we were going to get, did we?
No, we didn't. Luckily, we didn't. We could have gotten 4 to 6 inches. Instead, we only got 1.5. You didn't get enough snow last night, though. There is more in the forecast. I'll be back with all the weather details right after this.
The race is on, and it's better than the 100-yard dash. Bob Rorman and the Taxman are speeding toward the March 1st tax deadline, and if old Bob's going to beat the Taxman, he's got to move hundreds of cars, trucks, and vans.
That's right, folks. As you folks buy now, we'll pass the tax savings on to you. Plus, you'll beat the spring price increases. But I gotta go, Kansas. Here he comes.
Help Bob beat the Taxman and help yourself to a great deal on a new car at any of Bob's 3 big locations in Lafayette. The race is on.
Here comes the Taxman.
Enter the world of facts, fiction, and fun as host Alex Trebek sends you into jeopardy.
Good luck.
The risk is great.
I'll risk 1,000.
And the challenge is even greater.
He won Best Actor Oscar for 1948 film version of Hamlet, which also won Best Picture. Who is Laurence Olivier? You are right.
Just how do you measure up against America's finest?
Jeopardy, where you can win it all or lose it all.
Watch Jeopardy weeknights at 7 here on TV 18.
Inventory tax sale. It's been a busy month at H.H. Gregg. Lots of folks saving money on name brand appliances, microwaves, and electronics. But it's all about to end. And if you want to save money, lots of money on a color TV, you'd be wise to shop today at H.H. Gregg while we still have a supply of this RCA 25-inch color console TV. 127 channels, cable ready, remote control, $427 with trade. But hurry, come Friday at midnight, the sale ends. Don't miss the savings. Shop H.H. Gregg today.
Hi, everyone. Well, the winter storm that moved through the area last night was very kind to mid-north Indiana. Just north of Terre Haute, they received 5 to 7 inches of snow. Here in Lafayette, we only got 1.5, but there is more snow in the forecast. In Lafayette this afternoon, we also got up to 31 degrees, 10 degrees cooler than our normal high of 41. Right now, we're at 20. That is our low for the day, but the mercury is still falling, so we should dip down into the middle teens before the night is up. Our records for today, 68 degrees, the all-time low -4. Right now in Lafayette, we're under clear skies. It's a very beautiful night. 20 degrees, humidity 88%, winds are from the north, barometer is rising, and there's the precipitation, 1.5 inches. And it all came from that winter storm, and it mainly fell between about 3 or 4 hours last night. Now, on the noon satellite for today, you can still see the heavy area of clouds just off to the east of us, now heading off the Atlantic coastline. That is that winter storm that passed through our area last night. Taking a closer look at the north-central part of the United States, there's really no heavy clouds across the state right now. There is a few scattered clouds left, however, and they will continue to move in and out through Indiana as the night goes by. And tomorrow we expect to see a little bit of sunshine, too, before another system makes its way into the area. Now, there is a little bit of precipitation way down south in Evansville. That's in the form of flurries, but nothing is showing up on radar in our area because there's nothing out there. Taking one more look at that low-pressure cell that was responsible for the winter storm that moved through the area, you'll notice that low-pressure cell is actually moving to the south of us. That caused the very heavy band of snow cover, snowfall just to the northwest of that system to actually pass right through the middle of the state. The heaviest stuff did come just to the south of mid-north Indiana, if that makes sense to you. So we were actually the lucky part. If that system had been any further to the north, we could have had 5 to 7 inches very easily. By tomorrow, high pressure will try to be the dominant weather maker in the area, but it just isn't going to be strong enough. It may give us a little sunshine during the day, but we have a very strong warm front making its way in from the west. That'll be getting here later tomorrow afternoon, bringing in more clouds and bringing in more snow, especially to the Great Lakes regions. The snow should pick up later tomorrow night all the way through Wednesday. It's still possible, and it's going to be warming up because of that warm front. Across the state, there is the flurries down south. All other cities reporting mostly clear to mostly cloudy skies as that sky cover varies. And across mid-north Indiana, everybody's at 20 degrees except for Monticello and Crawfordsville. Now, we will have a few clouds in the area tonight. Very chilly all the way down to 15 degrees. Tomorrow looks fairly nice. Sunshine mixed with clouds, daytime high right around the freezing mark. Cloudy skies tomorrow night. There's that chance for snow again, especially late in the evening down to 19. And snow is still possible throughout the day on Wednesday. Otherwise, cloudy skies. An afternoon high of 35. So it looks like the rest of the week may, even though some of the snow was melting today, looks like we're going to get a fresh batch by the middle of the week.
Okay, thanks, Kath.
What's happening in sports tonight, Liz?
Well, let's see if I can give you some good news. There's a rotten forecast, that's for sure. Now, when we talk at this time of the year, we talk basketball. Of course, if you're a Hoosier, you love basketball. We have a lot of it coming up next, so stay tuned.
Can you guess which truck is priced lower than the top 5 compact pickups in America? Okay, so you needed a hint. Well, now you can get that low-priced Isuzu for even less. Because Isuzu's offering 8.6% financing on all their 1986 pickups. And when Isuzu's are selling with 8.6% financing, you'd better be ready to move fast.
Stop in today while the selection is great and the interest rate is low.
I'm going to do everything I can to change the will, so I can sell Ewing Oil.
Mama, that's going against Daddy's wishes, and you know it.
Daddy chose that the future of Ewing Oil is going to be in the hands of the son strong enough to run it. And that's the way it's going to be.
You leave me no choice, Mama. I'm going to fight you every step of the way.
Your methods may have lost us the company.
Not if we join forces against Mama.
Watch Dallas Tuesday at 4 here on TV 18. Portions of News Service 18 are sponsored by Bob Rorman Auto Sales.
Good evening, everyone. After a season-long chase, the Central Catholic Knights of Lafayette have surpassed City Rifle Lafayette Jeff in the state high school rankings. The Knights moved up 1 spot in the AP rankings to number 6, while the Broncos slipped to 9th in the Associated Press poll. Broad Ripple is still number 1 out of Indianapolis. Noblesville is 2nd. Marion 3rd. Michigan City Rogers 4th. Warsaw rounds out the top 5 for you. CC heads the second 5, while a couple of NCC foes are 9th and 10th. Lafayette, Jeff, and Muncie Central. In fact, 3 teams in the top 10 from that very elite conference. In the UPI poll, by the way, this week, Central Catholic crapped the top 10 for the first time this season at number 9, while Jeff fell all the way to 12th, so they're actually out of the top 10, according to UPI. Yesterday, we had the sectional drawings for the annual boys state tournament. Locally, the Carroll Cougars will have the first shot at the Central Catholic Ball Club. Cougar coach Mo Smedley feels his team must come into the Crawley Center with a great deal of intensity.
Because once the game starts and the sweat flows and, you know, the game starts, then you forget about everything. You don't have time to think. So the main thing is to come out with intensity. If they come out with intensity, I feel like things can fall in place. And I think a team like Central Catholic certainly not going to let us come out, I don't think, without too much intensity, because you are playing a ranked team and an undefeated team. And if that doesn't get you fired up, then, you know, I feel like that nothing else can get you fired up.
Now, one team you can't ignore in the sectionals, Harrison, who will meet Delphi in a bye game in the second round. Veteran coach Dave Young has had his share of success at the Crawley Center and thinks that the favorites are on a roll.
Well, I think Central Catholic's very hot right now. I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. They don't think they really feel like they can be beat. I think Lafayette Jeff's playing with some confidence. They lost a couple of ball clubs that are real good ball clubs. And I know Jim Hamill's a competitor, and he's not going to let them get down on themselves. And I think we're playing real well right now. We lost a tough one the other night, but we're playing better. The kids seem to be closer. And I would say any of those three, on paper, would have to be the ones. But Delphi can really be a dark horse.
From the Boilermaker camp today, Doug Lee practiced this afternoon despite that knee bruise he suffered in Sunday's game with Indiana. 6'5" junior will be ready to go against the Illini on Thursday. By the way, a game that will be televised live here on TV 18. That wasn't originally in the schedule, but TV 18 will broadcast the game Thursday with Illinois. Todd Mitchell has been named the Associated Press Big Ten Player of the Week for his performances against Ohio State and Indiana this past week. Yesterday, he had 24 points and 8 rebounds, played a brilliant floor game, did a great job defensively. He leads the league in free throw shooting and just continues to get better and better with his inside play. Todd Mitchell, AP, Big Ten Player of the Week. Here's the UPI top 10 for you. Duke replaces conference foe North Carolina as the nation's #1 team, according to the broadcasters and writers. That's the coaches. UPI is the coaches. Tar Heels, who have led the poll most of the year, dropped to a tie for third place. Kentucky up to number 5. And then the second 5, as you see it, Syracuse, UNLV, Las Vegas, Memphis State, Bradley, and St. John's rounds out the top 10. Michigan, by the way, is 11th, which is really ridiculous. And no top 10 Big Ten team is in the top 10. Notre Dame is 12th, IU is 16th, and Michigan State is 17th. Purdue ignored again despite a 3-1 record against Michigan State and Indiana and a better season record than both clubs. College scores from tonight. Now, 48-game home winning streak is on the line at Oklahoma. I can update it. Late in the game, 2 minutes ago, Kansas 77, Oklahoma 71. Remember, 48 in a row for Oklahoma at home. That's in jeopardy. Memphis State over South Carolina tonight. Louisville beats South Alabama. Florida State loses to Virginia Tech. Oral Roberts kills Butler. And Evansville upsets Detroit tonight. We'll move to the NBA scoreboard now, where Washington beat the Nets. Malone had 25. Atlanta, their first win over the Lakers in 6 years. Cleveland with Free getting 33, beat San Antonio. Detroit with 41 points from Tripucka. Boy, I wish I could talk tonight. Houston 110 and Dallas 105. Dick Williams has resigned as the manager of the San Diego Padres after failing to show up for spring training. Third base coach Ozzie Virgil also quit the team. Williams, considered one of the best managers in the game, led the Padres to their only World Series appearance 2 years ago. Pitching coach Galen Cisco will take over the team until a new manager can be appointed. Several players voiced their displeasure with Williams during the off-season. By the way, the Sullivan Award was announced tonight. That in Indianapolis to the nation's outstanding amateur athlete. And marathoner Joan Benoit Samuelson was this year's winner. There were some outstanding candidates for that award, always awarded in Indianapolis, and certainly a great tribute to this fine runner. Joan Benoit Samuelson, the winner of the Sullivan Award this year.
Thanks a lot, Larry. We'll have more news after this.
Our best tax sale ever ends February 28th, and we still have over 200 cars and trucks that must be sold now. Our good people will do whatever it takes to sell them fast. With low-rate financing and special tax sale prices, you may never buy for less. So hurry to Bethany Ford in Lafayette. Make us your best offer, and you'll probably own America's best-built car or truck. And remember, we can't sell all these cars and trucks by saying no.
Tuesday at 5 on Three's Company.
I'm going to tell you what I told you after the last party. No more parties.
Is that your final word?
Yeah.
Good, then we won't have to hear any more from you.
It was just a bluff. Ellen?
Three's Company, Tuesday at 5 on TV 18.
He's the one who spins the wheel.
Yeah, it's just me.
She's the one who turns the letters.
Let's really spell it out.
Together, they're helping people take a spin at changing their lives.
Don't you just love to see endings like that?
But it's only the beginning. Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
Why don't I just be quiet, spin the wheel, and get on with it?
A dream team making dreams come true on Wheel of Fortune.
Whose life will the wheel change tonight?
Wheel of Fortune, weeknights at 7:30 here on TV 18.
Although he hasn't been on the job long enough to find out the specific problems, Tippecanoe County's new data processing director met the media today. Bill Cochran reports.
Jim Rayer is stepping into a county department that's been in a holding pattern for the last few months as Leonard Stevens quit under fire as its director. Rayer says he thinks he can get the problems ironed out, with staffing his first concern.
I think that's one of the major things at the moment. The next thing is for me to learn some of the procedures. I'm not even familiar with all the departments that are using the county's data processing system at this time. So once I get my feet wet and get the staff, say, updated, at that time I think we can try to smooth things out.
Rayer will get his feet wet with computer system reviews by the State Board of Accounts and an independent consultant. The state report was highly critical of a lack of management in the county's computer department. Bill Cochran, News Service 18.
And that's our report. Tomorrow we'll report on any developments in the Ryan White hearing.
And in sports, we'll have the weekly Produce Spotlight.
Good night.
Good night.
From television performances in a Moscow studio
to Grammy rehearsal.